Hello, everyone. Welcome to the network. Welcome to the Two Dads edition. Wait,
That's not it.
start again.
Two Dads, Gen X edition.
What's up, James?
What's up, Dawson?
What's up, Quinn?
What's up? How's everybody doing?
Good. We've got Quinn here today. Just be yourself.
I won't do anything crazy.
Just do it. Yeah, so Quinn is my son, and we thought it'd be fun to talk about how to support your kids in sports. So we threw down and named this More Than Trophies, Helping Kids Win at Life Through Sports. And we thought it'd be fun to have him on and kind of let me know how I did and what I could have done better as a dad, and maybe I did good stuff. So that's why we're all wearing sports jerseys today. James is rocking the Kansas City Royals soccer version of the jersey since
because I didn't have a jersey, and so Dawson brought one of his. You know, the last jersey I had was like a Jets jersey when I was a kid, besides like high school football or whatever. But
now I know why you don't have it, because the Jets suck.
No, my brothers used to go to the Jets high school camp or little league camp that they would have at their stadium.
I'm sorry.
When we were growing up, they weren't bad then. Yeah.
Your Piccolo, all right? Ryan Piccolo, wasn't he a Jet?
Maybe.
Who knows?
I don't know.
You don't know? He's like, I don't know.
So yeah, but talking about kids playing sports, a lot of dads want their kids to play the sports that they did, and they're like, sometimes you get the dad that's like, you're gonna do it, you're gonna, stop crying, suck it up, that kind of thing, and then you get the dads like, everybody wins, yay,
yeah. Hand out the trophies, guys. It's so wonderful.
Everybody's a winner.
Everybody got last place. Did you participate?
Everybody gets to have a bat.
I think if you're young enough, participation trophies are smart, but you get older and you shouldn't get anything for not winning.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, there's
like what age do you think?
3.
Like 3.
Yeah, it should be competition by 3.
Are they even playing by 3?
I mean, you were. You were doing soccer at 3.
I'd say like 8 years old is probably the time that they're good.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good age to transition in from, okay, cool, here's your money back through a trophy to, okay, now you got to earn it.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, I've been doing converting family videos from VHS to MP4. And there's one from like my older brother and I we were on opposite teams in Little League. And so on the video is his coach talking about, if you guys aren't serious, we don't have to be here because I volunteer my time. And Coach so-and-so. And I'm just like, wow, they were kind of brutal.
Yeah. I mean, shoot, mine in high school, in football, he'd grab the helmet and shake it.
Oh, yeah.
Just like you see in the movies back then. And he's like, get your head out of your ass, Stuart.
Yeah.
And then he'd literally shove you and you're like, okay,
really
coach.
cool.
And he'd pop your neck. You're like, that really hurt.
What was really cool about that little video that I found where that coach was doing that is it was my brother's team. They lost. Anyway, all right.
So basically, kids sports, works, it's competition, helps confidence, builds grit, getting through those hard times on a losing team, teamwork, you can't win unless you're a team, and then kind of lifelong health habits, you kind of learn how to stay healthy, stretching, all that good stuff. Do you agree?
Yeah, I stretch all the time, totally.
I know you do.
Like, yeah. I do it all the time. Wake up in the morning, in the shower. Yeah. You stretch all the time.
Shower.
Well, Jesus. Well, the funny thing is like you look at the fact that a lot of these sports, like when we were kids, it literally is like you only had one team that you had 600 kids trying out for. We're now in Kansas City. I mean, you have 600 soccer teams, so every kid can play, even the kid that picks his nose watching the ball go by him. Yeah. And the dad's just shaking his head, kind of thing. But
right.
Yeah. And more kids have opportunities. I mean, the show that actually did really well, there's a guy that basically made the almanac for small market kids, and that's what a lot of these coaches go by. They actually say, okay, here's this kid in a 1A school that's hitting 40 home runs. How will he do in college? How will that progress? And they look at their fundamentals, and so now you're seeing like these kids that are coming from small towns actually making pro because you're getting recognized now and stuff like that. So it's kind of cool that we're getting more influence out there.
Yeah. All right. So,
let's dive into this.
Yeah. How do we dive in? So let's, I think starting off with talking about some of our dad stories.
Yeah.
Like our experiences as dads, fails and successes, hopefully.
He'll let me know about the successes.
Right. But then there's why do sports matter? What are the benefits, beyond just who won, who lost, the scoreboard, that kind of thing. Building confidence without pressuring.
Yeah.
Without pressuring the kids. So without building the pressure.
It's hard to do.
Yeah. And then what do we do when they want to quit? Do we push, pull back, or listen? And then some final thoughts, because we have those all the time.
All right, let's do this.
Let's do that shit. Yeah. But if you like our content, and if this is something that interests you, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Follow us for more, so you get the reminders that we have podcast episodes coming out every Tuesday. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is a reminder, we still have the bet, the $50 bet. Will the Bears win before the Chiefs a Super Bowl?
That's right. Season's getting ready. Season's getting ready.
What do you think?
It'll be a while.
Yes.
Loser. All right. So our Dad Stories and Quinn stories here. As a nurse and respiratory therapist, it's hard for me because I had worked 12-hour days, 13-hour days, and I was always trying to get better at being there and kind of timing my schedule. In healthcare, you're having to plan your schedule almost 3 months in advance. And so it was hard to be there. And I know for Quinn and Kira, they were very supportive with me, knowing that I wasn't just staying at home drunk,
being lazy,
doing my own thing. I actually, if I wasn't there, it's because I was stuck at work and stuff. So that was hard. And it was, as a dad, it kind of hits you sometimes. And, you want to be there, you want to see it and support your kids, and so I think Quinn was really good at telling me thank you for coming and stuff like that, but kind of stuff. I mean, what does it mean for you to have the parents there? Because I didn't have my parents growing up and coming to this sports. Like my mom didn't even know I was playing some of these sports because I was paying for it myself. So I just didn't want her to feel bad having to pay, and so I'd pay my out of pocket and stuff like that. But I know not having my parents there at times when I had a really good game, I could celebrate with my teammates, but I wanted my parents to be proud of me, and just be happy for me, I guess. And so hopefully I was able to do that for you.
Yeah. What was the experience for you?
I always appreciate it when my parents go to the games. It's nice just to have an extra supporter in the crowd. I think it can also help you push yourself a little bit more, because you also want to gain their pride and everything. But even if I don't do good, I know my dad will always support me, which is another important factor. Being able.
Why is that important to you? What does it do for you?
It helps you be confident even during your bad games. If you feel kind of degraded after a bad game, you're not gonna feel as confident playing from now on. So making sure that you support their good games and just stay neutral during their bad games is kind of helps what makes them play their sport for longer and helps them enjoy it while they do play.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, and
really cool.
We'll definitely kind of dive it more into that in the quitting episode or quitting segment. I think the funniest story for me was Kira's softball game.
Oh.
So we were newly divorced, and the baseball and soccer complex was right by my apartment. So I'm I'm going to ride my bike, exercise more.
Sure.
So I rode the bike to the place, and they had a new ref, a girl ref behind the thing, which, I don't care. I mean, I she was doing a great job. But she got distracted, and Kira, she wouldn't swing unless it was just, in the strike zone, and this person's just throwing it way high. So Kira's just not swinging at all. And I mean, it was up here.
She's a bit short.
I mean, she is. But it was funny because it's the girl just happened to look away when it pitched, and then she goes and she's and she points to the ref that's in the outfield. So this guy is 300 feet away. He's supposed to say, and he literally goes, strike. And I jumped up
wow.
that is a bunch of bullshit. And they're like, sir, you can't, you're out of here. So I get thrown out, which then of course makes Kira like start crying. And she comes over and I'm like, no, Kira, it's okay. I was wrong. I shouldn't have swore, no big deal. I'm sorry I embarrassed you, and everybody's laughing, and because it was funny at the same time. Sure. Everyone else is like, he's not wrong.
She's devastated,
like,
but
he's not wrong. And so they're like, sir, we can't continue playing until you're gone. And I'm like, and I had my bike. I'm like, I know, I got to get my bike. I'm getting on my bike and start pedaling away. And everybody's just dying laughing because I'm like, because I had it chained up. So I'm like, unchaining it. And I'm like, I know, I'm getting my bike. And everyone just started laughing. They're like, yeah, it's just like the little kid that got kicked out of the team. And it was good because it actually made her laugh. So then she felt a little better. But, that was a big moment for me because, like, you shouldn't swear, until they're in high school and don't give a shit. But ideally, that's a good example of sportsmanship as a parent. Because you as a parent, when you have bad sportsmanship, that puts a lot
of pressure on your kid.
And makes them embarrassed. And then they feel like they always have to be perfect or they're going to get basically berated, in front of the whole team. And so that was actually a good learning moment for me because instantly Kara was upset. She was, sad. And so that was like for me, like telling her, you did nothing wrong. It was all me. Yeah. I'm like, it's good. I did something wrong. I'm being punished. That's on me. I go, hope you learn from that, don't.
Yeah. No, one of the things that was hard for me is like, so I played Little League, but like when we moved from New York here to Missouri, I went out for football because I enjoyed playing football as a kid. But it was the attitude of the guys on the team that like squashed it for me. I went out for practice for like 2 weeks, and all the kids were like, "Oh yeah, I'm better than you. You suck. I'm blah, blah, blah." They'd never played, maybe a little Pop Warner League kind of thing, a couple of them, but the rest of them it was like their dad peaked in high school, and so their dad was like, "You will play football." I enjoyed playing. I'm not a huge competitive guy. And so like, I was like, I don't need to do this. Yeah. So instead I sang in the choir, but, but I was bigger than half of the football players on our team in high school. So anyway,
I just love tackling people. I was like, one thing I love.
So football. Kind of one of the things that I regret is that I didn't really push my kids into sports. I kind of wish I had more. And so like my son went out for football. One of my friends was one of the coaches and encouraged him to go out. And so we bought shoes and a bunch of other stuff. And he went, and like 2 weeks later, he's like, I want to quit. Because it was competitive and it was tough and he was tired and, he hadn't faced that before. He's, I think, a junior or something like that. Yeah. And I let him quit. And I regret letting him quit. So like my 2 youngest daughters wanted to go out for tennis. And so we sat down and I said, all right, partly your brother's fault. If you go out for tennis, you have to finish the season because I'm not going to buy equipment, pay for do all this stuff and then have you quit partway through. If you're going to do this, you're going to do it and you're going to finish the season. They agreed to it and they did. They had a blast. They didn't play again, but they enjoyed the season. But it taught me like, I regretted not kind of pushing him to finish at least that season so he could experience the games and experience the excitement. Because I think that would have been a positive influence on him. Yeah. And that affected the way that I had my daughters with the tennis. They didn't want to, the other thing that I did too is like, if they wanted to go out for sports, school was first.
Yeah. That's, I've always told them that.
And if, school's first job. If they had a job, school was first, all that kind of stuff. School was their job. But like my parents, I got 9 brothers and sisters and we, for the most part, we all played sports. Like my older brother played basketball, football. He ran track, and so he was constantly busy. But that's a lot of time commitment.
Yeah, it is. It is
a lot of time, especially if you're the one driving them everywhere. And there's a lot of parents that spend all their time and money, whether it's dance or whether it's flag football, and they're like travel teams and stuff like that. It's a lot.
Yeah, it is.
I wasn't one of those dads.
What's a good story for you?
I think I don't remember when this was, but we used to live in this apartment and we had this little like pitching thing where I could pitch right into a net. And so I think a good thing that
so he's at the front door. It's in the living room.
No, it's in the garage.
No, it was in the garage.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I'd go in the street and I would pitch into the garage, into the net, and there's like a strike zone and everything. And I think a good thing that came from that is just like availability. What my dad would do is just like, he'd be like, throw 100 pitchers or something, and then you're done for the day. And so it's an easy goal. And
say it the way he said it. You throw 100 pitches and then you're done for the day. I'm just kidding.
It was something like that. And, and just like the easiness to pitch into it. And then also there's not a lot of stress behind it. It was just like an easy number to reach. And then you feel really rewarded after, kind of like when you finish your hard workout and you get all the endorphins and everything. You feel really happy about it. It's kind of that feeling. And it's very good. And it helps you feel better in the long term, like with depression and stuff too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, and so that's one of the things that we can actually go into is that next section where it's talking about why sports matter. What are the benefits of sports for kids, especially? You know, a lot of kids, they don't quit because they don't like the sport, right?
Yeah, they really just, I think a lot of them quit because they just don't like the feeling of it. It's not fun anymore. It feels like a task or a chore.
Mm-hmm.
You know, recently you played basketball a long ways, and actually twice. Like you're pretty dominating in baseball, and you're just developing really well. And so when and COVID is kind of what kind of made you want to, well, we'll get into why you quit and stuff later, but it, you know, it was hard to see you want to move away from baseball, but I loved how you told me it wasn't like, I just don't want to play anymore. It was like, I enjoy basketball more, and I really want to focus on basketball. And do you remember what I told you after that?
I don't.
Damn it.
Here we're trying to be like impactful moments in our kids' lives.
Well, from my point of view, like you used your height as your advantage most of the time. And so you really never really focused on dribbling. And so I said, okay, well, you need to start practicing your dribbling and shooting because you can't depend on your height all the time. I'm like, he was like the Dennis Rodman of Little League. I mean,
Puberty hadn't hit the other kids yet.
I mean, he literally would have like 20, 30 rebounds, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, he'd stuff so many kids because he was just like a foot taller than all of them. And it was so funny. He'd come in and just like, and they'd be like, and eventually he just grabbed the ball and threw it back. And he did. He literally pushed himself. And I think the value kids get from sports, you know, it's fun. You're having times with friends. You're achieving things with your friends. And you're bonding with them as you achieve. You know, the feeling of capability. It's like when you can't do anything and you push and practice and push and practice, and then you do it, man, it feels so fucking good, you know, and it's just being included, you know, kind of thing. And then you got I think most parents think it's about winning. It's about performance, always being perfect, you know, scholarships.
For some parents,
I've made that mistake with him. I was just like, so I know he mentioned like not really wanting to play in college. And I'm like, man, even if you're on the bench in college, the experience of going to tournaments and travel, it's fun. You know, it's something I wish I could have done. Yeah. But that's me projecting what I wish I could have had onto him. And ultimately I'm like, I just do it to have fun, man. You know, if you're not having fun, then don't do it. Because life's too short. And then just, you know, it's tough and grit. You know,
but getting to that point where it is fun because you've learned the fundamentals, because you're actually like seeing the success. I saw this video on, I don't know, Instagram, TikTok, whichever social media it was. And it was this kid who, it was like a little dirt bike race. Had to have been like 6 or 7 years old. It's one of those little tiny bikes, you know? Yeah. And you hear his mom, and she's just like, "Don't worry, you got it. This is great. You know, you're gonna do great. Just pick that bike back up and keep going. You got this. You got this." And then it's like his little helmet cam, and as he's driving, he's like, "Yeah, you got this. You got this. You can do this. This is great. You can do that. You got." And he's like the whole time until he finally finishes the race. It's like he's on the last like lap or something like that. Yeah. The cutest thing. Yeah. But the impact that the mom had of like pushing him and encouraging him so that he could have the success of finishing the race instead of quitting because he fell down and he got hurt a little bit and felt sad, right? And so like we focus on a lot of times parents, and I think this is like the toxic parent kind of thing when it's a sport dad, sport mom kind of thing, where it's like if they make an error and the parent is like, you suck. I don't know why you did it, blah, 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 blah. You're going home and you're doing this and you're going to do this. And this is never happening again. That's the coach's job.
Yeah.
That is the coach's job to do that. It is not the parent's job to do that.
And Quinn was on teams where it would be so frustrating, where it's like we had one of his basketball teams where the coach had his son on the team.
Yeah.
And that fucker couldn't hit a shot for anything, but he make these crazy weird shots. But he wanted so bad to be the star for his dad.
Yeah.
That he would make horrible mistakes. And a lot of times if they lost, it was because of him.
Mm-hmm.
Like he'd throw the ball away, or he was a great defender. I mean, he could get the ball from anyone. But then he would just ball hog it all the way up and then make a shot 50 feet away. And we're like, why are you shooting that?
Yeah.
And all
it's
of us
like, okay, I'm past half court.
Yeah. And he would do that. And it's like, please take your son out to teach him a lesson. Take him out, listen to me as your coach, or you're not going to play.
Yeah.
And he would pull him out and tell him that, but then put him right back in, and then we lose. And you could see all the boys on the team getting really frustrated.
Yeah.
And kind of like, dude, this kind of sucks. And
then you get some parents who pay off the coaches.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I think that happened in high school. There was a kid, I won't say his name. So my brother, senior year, the coaches were like, "Hey, we're gonna give some more playing time to this kid so that he's better prepared for the next season, next year since you're graduating." My brother he was like, "Yeah, whatever helps the team," kind of thing.
Yeah.
He got played a little bit while this other kid in my grade kept on getting put in, and he sucked. He wasn't great.
Yeah.
Every single time that my brother got the ball, he scored in football, but the coaches only put him in like 4 or 5 times that season because they were trying to get this other kid ready, and it's like.
Yeah,
I think
saw that.
Well, I think the coaches got paid to do that because this other kid's parents owned like a little mini mart kind of thing, so they had a little bit more money here. And I don't know why coaches would do that unless some parent incentivized them doing that.
Yeah, probably. I mean, did you feel that way about that team?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Like, what was your thinking during that process? Like,
I just felt like really kind of just like disregarded. I kind of felt like prejudiced against myself, adversity kind of thing. Politics in sports are a really big thing that people really don't talk about. Kids, they like lose so much of their confidence just because they like think they're better than someone, but some other kid gets played regardless. Whether it's because of like their attitude or something, which is a good thing. You should praise like good attitude and like a good person, but it can hurt sometimes, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, so for the high school team for basketball, I know Blue Valley West does kind of like a camp thing every year, and they start really young, which is actually really smart because the guy's like tailoring his kids to be how he wants as a coach for high school when he's getting them in elementary school. And I know one thing I told Quinn always, if you didn't make the team, go to the coach and not bitch about not making the team. Go to the coach and say, hey, what can I do? What can I work on to make the team? And how can I be better so I can make it next year or do next time?
It's a great attitude to have.
And he actually did. And I think your freshman year, you told me that you actually were put on the team because of your attitude, that you had such a positive attitude. You were willing to put the work in, but his energy was like Rudy. Is basically how the coach described it. Is like, your son's attitude is so strong and so good that he makes the other kids try harder. And we can see it on the floor. And he's like, he doesn't mind if he doesn't play the whole time. Now down the road, just like, you wanted to play more because it was more fun when you're on the court. I mean, was that assessment correct? Or
that's basically what he told me. He's like, I played for both teams. I played like as much as I could, basically, and he'd plug me in whenever I could. I would just like be consistent every single day at practice, and I'd always try my hardest, and I'd try every sprint, and every coach sees that after a while, and they take those kids every day over the kid who doesn't try at all, but he's naturally good. So
yeah. I mean, even in the military, it's like you can teach somebody to be better as long as they have a good attitude and they're open-minded about it. but somebody who's an arrogant piece of
crap
that that doesn't, they think they're God's gift to the game or whatever. You have to break down that ego first.
Yeah.
Before they're gonna, and you see it a lot in sports now, or especially in professional sports. A lot of these guys that got into professional sports, their ego was fed the entire time. They have natural ability, and they definitely have the skill set, the fundamentals, but then their ego was fed rather than being curtailed. And then you get these athletes that are like, they have all these legal problems and all these money problems, and they keep on like.
It's really only in football.
Yeah, well,
in basketball.
That's true. Well, no. I mean, you look at like LeBron.
Well, I say and basketball.
Yeah, and basketball. Well, and then soccer. One of the World Cup being here, it's like you're seeing all these players that it's like you can tell who's faking whatever.
Oh, yeah. Well, and they're getting good. Like they've actually had a couple good calls on flops and stuff. Like
Yeah, because they can do the replay now.
Yeah, I mean, I think on the First American team, they actually had a guy flop, and they're like, "Nope, you're out. He didn't even touch you," and he got a yellow card. And they're like, "What? Well, you can't do that." He goes, "We're done with this crap. We're done with you guys flopping and making the game go, 898, 110 minute. It doesn't need to do that." So the physical benefits of actually doing sports, we kind of got on a tangent there. I think is. Having kids more active obviously is healthy. You look back when we were kids. I mean, we were playing kick the can with like 300 kids in the neighborhood because we'd have just all of them come from multiple neighborhoods.
Street football, stickball,
outside, till the sun goes down. And so I think people have better health and outcomes down the road. Reduce chronic diseases because you don't have diabetes. You don't have you have joint pain and stuff like that.
You trade one for the other.
But you do develop long-term habits. And what's funny is studies have shown that kids actually get their being healthy activities from their mom. So like if the mom's lazy and on the phone a lot of times the kid will be that way too. And then they get the perseverance and drive from the dad. And so, I was always glad that their mom, went running. We did Girls on the Run for Kira. She would run with Kira to kind of help promote that. Yeah. And so her athleticism, like I think she played one sport. I don't know.
Volleyball and golf.
And
2 sports.
Yeah.
But her knowing like, hey, I'm not really in good shape. I want to get back in shape. I want to be healthy.
Sure. Yeah.
It projected onto them. Like I was doing it. They didn't give a crap, kind of thing. They're like, cool, Dad's working out again. Cool. Now they'd come down and do P90X with me, and it was really cute, or yoga. That was always kind of fun. But those are good things that you kind of help, So it's like if you have a kid that's just on his computer, like, I had a relationship recently that the kid was a lazy piece of shit. He just laid on the couch and gained weight. He'd probably ate about 6,000 calories a day.
Yeah.
He'd eat like a whole bag of Cheese Whiz and stuff, and the coach was like, the football coach was like, "Hey, you're a fat fucking kid. I want you on my team as a center." And the coach pushed him. It was like, "I want you on the team," and it was actually like you saw his attitude change. You saw him like confidence in school got better. He started getting better grades. He actually lost like 40 pounds,
something like that.
And then football season ended. He gained it all right back. Yep. Grades plummeted. He never went to school. He was one of those kids that he was the bully, but then said he was getting bullied all the time. I'm like, whatever.
Yeah. No, but I mean, that's the thing is like, there's a lot of emotional and mental benefit from kids going through sports because one, you're like with that example, when you're active, and I talk with clients about this all the time, where it's like, if they're just sitting around doing nothing, they're not outside, which means they're not getting out in the sun, so they're not getting the vitamin D that they need. They're not exercising. Their muscles aren't getting stronger. The muscles release, endorphins into the body that help you feel good, right? And so as kids, if they're just sitting around playing video games and they're not active, they're going to get higher rates of depression and anxiety. They're not going to be as satisfied with their lives. You gain that being able to overcome challenges through competitive sports, right? Yeah. And so if you're losing, and I have a client that his son wrestles, he's like 10, 11 years old, and he went to this match. He only had 3 matches that day, but he lost the first 2, and he was crying, he was sad, and his dad was like, it's okay to cry. It's okay to feel sad. You know, how does it feel to have lost all of those two matches? And he's like, it sucks. I don't want to do this anymore. The dad was like, okay, so instead of doing that, take that hurt and use that in your next match. And the kid won the match. And afterwards he was beaming, you know, the dad was describing, he was like happy, he was excited. And he was like that. And I told him, I said, that's great parenting.
Yeah.
Because you didn't shame him for the sadness. You helped shape it into motivation for the next match. And then you praised the success of the match. That's a life lesson. And you don't get that typically unless you're in some kind of a competitive environment. And so sports do that too. But as that happens too, you know, that kid now overcame a challenge. And so he's got better self-esteem for himself, you know, where it's like, as he gets older and he's still, whether he continues in sports or not, those examples of life got hard, I felt bad, I kept going, I succeeded, that translates into life experience when you're an adult.
Yeah, boss is being mean to me. I'm getting all this extra stuff. I feel like I'm being left out. You know, it does translate, you know, and it goes into the social benefits of sports too. You got the teamwork, fosters belonging and achievement together, you know, and that's going to be in your work life. You're going to have tasks you have to do as a team. And if you don't know how to work with other people, you're not going to get raises. You're not going to get promotions, you know, kind of thing. It helps build communication, interpretation skills, interpersonal skills. It's just, I mean, Quinn hit his first like in the park home run, and it was like the cutest thing. I didn't get the home run part, but I got him running around the bases and stuff.
Yeah.
And he comes in and bench clears. They're all jumping and screaming. And they're all, yeah. And I barely get the clip of him going by. He goes, man, that was cool.
How old was he?
I think it was like 10. No, maybe 8.
That's awesome.
I mean, he was like this close to hitting home runs at age 10, like actually over the fence kind of thing. Cause he'd just knock it into the corner of the fence. And he never had a first gear. I mean, he was always third gear stealing. And I told him, I'm like, keep running until they learn how to throw it ahead. So if you're running for second, they should be throwing to third.
Right.
But they would throw it to second. And he'd be at past second. He'd be at third, so they throw third. He's past third going home, you know?
Yeah.
And I remember the coach is like, quit fucking telling him to do that. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
And it's like, until they learn how to throw and where to throw to,
right?
They're got to learn that stuff. And so that was just kind of funny how he did that. But it also helps develop leadership skills. I mean, we kind of just talked that. Like, Quinn was becoming a natural leader for the basketball team without him even knowing he was doing it, because he was developing that skill of supporting his teammates like a captain's. Like, you know, I might not be the best on the team, but I know that guy is, and I want to feed him the ball. I want to do that. I mean, Michael Jordan became Michael Jordan because in college he learned who to feed to make himself better.
Yeah.
And that's what made him who he was. And that's why the Bulls became one of the most dominating teams in basketball history. And he's still
that's why Michael Jordan is the greatest of all time.
Yeah, he is.
So, yeah, but like, and I think, you know, that kind of leads into building confidence without pressuring kids as parents, you know, because a lot of this episode is like our perspective as parents. You know, Quinn's here for, you know, the child perspective too, which thank you for coming.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But like the building confidence without building pressure is probably one of the most important parts of parenting. Because when we overbear, and as a therapist, I see this with some of the teenagers, I see it in a lot of adults too, where it's like they were pressured so much. Now they have this anxiety, they have this fear, they have this depression, and they're just trying to make it, but they feel like they're overwhelmed all the time and they're in survival mode.
Yeah.
You know, and so sports gives an opportunity for people to learn resilience and learn emotional strength and safety through the challenge, right? And so, you know, confidence isn't telling the kids that they're amazing.
Mm-mm.
That's you're blowing smoke up their ass, because no, there's always somebody better. But confidence comes from doing hard things and surviving through it and knowing that you succeeded, right? That's where the confidence comes from. And so, you know, when it comes to like, how do we treat our kids when they're sitting on the bench or losing, or they missed a shot, or they're nervous, or, you know, they just had a really sucky practice where they just feel beat up, you know? Yeah. What is, Dawson, what did you do for your kids when that happened?
I mean, with Kira, it was hard. Kira was in her head a lot, always in her head. But she was also on a team where the coach's daughters were competitive. They were on multiple like high ranked teams. And so the team she was on was kind of like a filler team for their youngest kid that was trying to get better at pitching. And so she was pretty good at catching and throwing. It's just like she struggled with hitting. And so trying to get her not to be in her head when she couldn't hit something or she struggled with it, giving her that motivation. I'm like, look, do your best. You know, if it's out of the strike zone, don't even swing at it. Just sit, don't even swing at it. I go, they're not throwing strikes.
Yeah.
Just sit there until they do, you know? And that's kind of where I messed up because then she just never swung ever. But man, when she did and she made contact, I mean, she booked and she tried. And I remember one game specifically where they played up and I think they were playing 12-year-olds and they were 10, I think. And this team was undefeated. And they literally were kicking their ass. Like they were up like eight points on them. And we're like, man, they're doing really good. And that's when they got overconfident.
Yeah.
And then they all made like 6-7 errors. They came back and the girls won. But it was so cool to have Kira come in here like, man, that was so cool. We almost beat them. That was so much fun.
Yeah.
Even though we lost because, you know, obviously they're better than us. But she was happy about that. And then, of course, it was the last time she ever played. You know, I think after that, just because she wanted to focus more on volleyball.
Mm-hmm.
With Quinn, man, I loved it when he was pissed. When he'd get pissed.
He's talked about this before.
It was because I remember what it was, if it was basketball or baseball. But I know he had one game where I don't remember what it was, but I remember just saying like he was like throwing down. He wanted to hurt somebody. He's just attitude was just shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him, I'm like, I don't know. Do you remember what I told you?
No, I don't.
Putting him on the spot. Yeah. No, I've learned that with my kids too. All these impactful moments that I thought they were having were more for me than them.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't those like super impactful. It's I knew it sunk in the next time it happened. Like I told him, like, look, you've seen professional players. What happens when they throw a punch? They do something wrong. Who gets punished? And they're like, oh, you. I'm like, it's okay to be mad. Be pissed. But do what really good athletes do. They put it into the play. They push through the line and they score a 50-yard touchdown, you know, or they catch that pass on the defender that's been like talking shit on them the whole time, you know. And here, you know, as you grow, you play the same teams and you're going against the same boys over and over and over again. And there's just one team that just dominated, and it was the same thing. And Coach Dad and Coach Son, he was the best player on the team, so they always fed him the ball. And Quinn being the tallest, he defended him all the time. This is the Blue Valley Rec. And I think Quinn just couldn't stand this kid. It's like he got so tired of this fucking kid in his face bragging because he'd like talk shit on everybody, like, man, you guys suck, you know, and stuff like that. And they would beat us by like 20, 30 points. But man, this game, they were all on fire. Quinn was on top of him. The kid didn't have one shot to score, and it was towards the very end of the game. The kid just like lashes out and pushes Quinn down. And the ref's like, and the coach is like, yeah, you know, and the ref's like, no, you're out of here. Your son's out of here. And Quinn just like, he just jumped up and he just goes, I'm in your head, and just runs off. And it was just like, and that's
hilarious.
I mean, I
might be embarrassed.
I might be remembering it wrong.
No, I do remember it.
You're like dropping your head of shame.
I got pushed in the back, and I got to shoot free throws and everything. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, they beat them by like 20. But I was so proud of him because it's like he, one, dominated this kid, and two, when he got pushed or violence was pushed against him, he just got up and was like, I got in your head, buddy. And I was just so proud of him because he didn't lash back out. And I've seen that when we play like St. Thomas Aquinas, stuff like that. Like the boys just get, because the parents are such a-holes in Aquinas. They're the worst fans, you know?
Yeah.
And it like would feed our boys. They're like, this is the only team we have to beat. We want to beat these guys so bad.
Yeah.
We don't even care if it matters. We just want to beat them. And I just loved watching him play mad. I mean, did you feel like you played differently like that?
Yeah, I did. I felt like it was like you reached like X Factor in Madden.
Do you have a time where I did something right that, helped motivate you or build confidence where you were struggling?
No. Talk about the stuff that like you wish your dad would have done better.
Well, I was going to do positive and then negative.
Yeah, okay, tell me how good of a dad I was, dude.
Okay, yeah. Give me
both. We'll do both.
Yeah, give me an example of where I didn't help you build confidence, or I maybe put too much pressure on you.
It's kind of hard to think about it. I really only associate you with like really good things with sports. I guess like I think I'll start with the positive first. It's like easier to think about positive stuff. I think when you like come up to your kid like at halftime or something and you're just like, "Hey, it's okay. You're going to be okay. Just keep going, keep working." Like when they're on the bench and you give them like a Gatorade or something so they like get rehydrated and they feel better about themselves. I think that's cool. And just like talking to them during the game, it helps them to like reestablish themselves if they ever feel down.
Yeah. Kind of refocus.
Yeah. Negative, I guess. So I know you like really wanted me to like work hard for some stuff, and so when I told you I was going to quit baseball, you're like, you pushing me. You're like, oh man, I know you don't want to do this. You're so good and all this stuff. And at the time it seemed like really negative, but I know you were just wanting the best for me. It may have been too much of a push as a kid, but at the same time, when you're a kid, stuff seems so big and you seem like everyone's like trying to hurt your feelings and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. When in reality, they're trying to do what's best for you. And so I think back then I thought it was you were like trying to like push me to play baseball because you wanted me to or something, but I know
that may have influenced a little bit.
Yeah.
I know you just wanted me to do something that I loved.
Yeah, had fun that you were good at. I think I actually listened to you, and because I really wanted to understand, because it came out of nowhere, and I was just kind of like, because he loved it, and we'd practice is one thing that he would really try to get better at, and so when he told me he wanted to quit, I was just like, okay, I gotta understand why, and we'll talk about that later. Could you hear us in the stand and stuff cheering for you and like scream your name out when you made plays and stuff like that?
Yeah, I can sometimes. Like I hear if you say something other than just like cheering, I'll mostly hear you. But if you're just cheering, I can't.
Yeah.
But
is there any time that like you made a shot or did something good or bad? I mean, that you heard me that like helped or motivated you? Or,
yeah, I think
or brought you down.
Whenever I hear you and Mom's voice, like sometimes I'll hear like you, like I miss a shot and you're like, oh man, you almost had it and stuff like that. And, that gives me confidence to go try it again. Cause if I was really close, why not do it again? You know? And so just like those supportive little gestures that they get from the crowd, they go so far. Like, and they always say like little stuff like goes really far, and such as a kid, it's like amplified by like 1,000.
Yeah. Well, and I think that one of the we had mentioned like the participation trophies in the beginning. I think the intent of that was to try and do exactly that for all the kids, so that all the kids would feel that motivation. But then it turned into shaming the success of the kids who were good.
Yeah.
By not giving them the praise, not giving them the accolades and the attention that they rightly deserve because of their effort, And so it's like, I think, the car ride home part of sports is sometimes the most effective for the parents to help teach kids and, motivate kids and things like that, because the car ride home can be like, if you came off of a great game and you did great and you scored a bunch and you all this stuff, and it's like, yeah, it was great. That's always good. But when you lose, and you're just feeling bad, you're feeling sad, that kind of stuff. The way that we as parents, interact in the car, I like the 5-minute rule. Have you ever heard of the 5-minute rule? You allow yourself to just kind of embrace the sadness and the suck for 5 minutes.
Oh yeah.
And then after 5 minutes, it's like, all right, cool. You've felt really bad. You felt sad, all this kind of stuff. Now let's move forward. Now let's figure out what we can do, what we can work on, what we do better. And that's where like the praise comes in. You know what? I really liked how you did this, or you know what? You were working really, really hard. And yeah, it didn't work this time, but you know what? Next time it might. So let's get back to work, and that I think is part of the what builds the resilience. You're talking about, is it, yeah, today was hard, but are you still enjoying the sport? Are you still enjoying the team? Are you still enjoying, playing with friends, that kind of stuff? Because then it's the reminder of why you're in it rather than just like, well, I didn't win, so why should I do it?
Yeah. Well, and that's one thing I always tried to focus on is just have fun. I mean, look at the pro baseball players. I mean, when the Royals won in 15, it was because they were all having fun, and enjoying it. And it wasn't the money. It was because they were having fun. When the Cubs won in 16, it was because they were having fun. He had Papa Ross that was like the grandpa that was like encouraging people. I mean, Lester would get so frustrated. He was with Boston Athletics. He was worthless after the 6th inning because he would get in his head. Papa Ross, I mean, he had almost, I think, 2 complete games, almost a shutout. And he flat out said, he always kept me in check. He always like, dude, you got that. What are you doing, man? Why are you throwing that ball like that? Just do it how you know how to do. And, you carry that into your kids. And if Quinn made, an error or whatever, that wasn't what I would focus on. I'd focus on, man, that was a great steal of the base, man. He did such a good job. Man, that was a great throw to third, good catch on first. If he was on the bench, it's hard because you don't want to see your kid be sad and disappointed they didn't get to play. And I know down the road, there was a coach on his team that was upset that he outperformed his son. And I didn't know he was basically talking shit on Quinn when he'd get to third base and basically making him feel like shit. And if I'd known that, I would have let the coach know, I'm like, you need that guy off the fucking team, kind of thing. And I recognize when I was one of the coaches that I was pushing him too hard. Like I'd get more frustrated with him. I'd be like, dude, you just got to go this way. And as a parent, if you're a coach, you have to know when your kid, they're coachable, but you have to recognize sometimes when it comes from the dad telling him one thing,
it's different.
It's criticism versus helping you get better.
Yeah.
And I think
there's a natural bias that occurs, right? Because it's our kid, right?
Well, and my intent was never like, you need to be better. You need to be this, you are this. It's like, okay, I see you're struggling with ground balls. Let's go out and practice ground balls. And then when we'd go to the park every day and I'd just throw balls at him, And then when he had to have a hard time, throw my balls at him.
Was it dip, dive, duck, dodge?
And then if it crossed the body, you'd have a hard time getting him over here. So then I would purposely throw across his body so he'd get better there.
Yeah.
And ground balls were kind of my weakness because I took one right in the nose. And
that's what happened. I'm just kidding.
Two balls to the face. And so then I
could be taken so wrong.
I know. And so, I'm trying to teach him, you got to get low, get it down, just reiterating what other coaches were saying. Cause it's like, well, what I did didn't work. So I'm not going to teach you what I did because it didn't work. And once I recognized that when I would coach him, he would push back and do worse. I finally just said, okay, I'm not coaching my kid anymore. I'm going to let the other coaches do it.
Yeah.
And then it get frustrating because I'd see them coaching specific kids that were the better ones on the team. And I'm like, that's where you fail as a coach.
Yeah.
You coach all the kids. You point out what they're all doing, what they're doing wrong, what they can do better. And I think I'm not at practices in basketball, but I feel like that the coaching on the basketball side of it, they would take the kids and say, hey, you're great at this, you're great at that, but you suck at this. You need to practice this, work on this. And I would see him improve on those things, kind of thing. I mean, he had one year, his free throw percentage was 90%. Like he could not miss a free throw.
Wow.
I mean, when he got
That's
fouled,
like where all the NBA players suck the most.
Yeah. When he would get fouled, they'd flat out go, oh, thank God Quinn got fouled. And I remember one of those games.
We have a chance to win the game. He's got a free throw.
And like threes, he wasn't, he struggled with threes, but he worked on those. And, there's this one great play where they'd come around in And, Quinn would look like he was going to do a layup, but then he'd kick it out, and then he'd roll around to the 3, and they'd kick it back to him, and he made the 3.
Yeah.
And they're all like, whoa! And I literally heard the coach go, fuck, this guy can shoot 3s now? And it was awesome because it's like they were so used to Quinn growing up being under the basket in the paint and just blocking and getting the rebounds that he could start hitting those shots. I'm bragging. Sorry.
Well, and the thing is, like, and it kind of, as a dad, it's not our job to be the coach. Yeah. Our job is to be the dad, right? But that kind of, let's go into that last section there where it's like, actually, before we do, if you like what we're talking about, you like hearing about Quinn's successes, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, all the stuff. But segment 4 is like, what do we do when they want to quit, right? Yeah. Do we push? Do we pull back? Do we listen? What is it that really benefits kids? So let's talk about that for a few minutes.
All right, yeah. So let's just get into. For me as a kid, mine was money. Like I didn't want to put the financial stress on my mom. Biggest regret, and I think also not having my dad in the picture, I didn't want to have to like have that disappointment of just playing by myself and not having family there, not having the support. Now, looking back, my sister would have been there in a heartbeat. My sister Sandra, I think my brother too and stuff. But Scott was pretty supportive when it came to helping me, trying to fill that role as the dad. And that's who I would play catch with. That's who would push me, kind of thing. And so that's why I generally quit. I still love the sports, love the games and stuff like that. So baseball, kind of explain why you quit on baseball. And
so it was because of this one coach that he just, every time I like forgot to slide one time, he's like, Quinn, what the fuck are you doing? Obviously not that. He was like, Quinn, what are you doing? Why aren't you sliding? And all this stuff. And then he would just like continue to be on me, on my case about this. And so I just completely stopped thinking about baseball. I just think about sliding and all like being perfect all the time. And that coach like completely ruined any real like passion that I had, all just because of this one thing. And maybe I'm soft or all this stuff because I quit because of it.
No. Anybody that says that is a piece of shit.
No, and the you could see that affect him because he was always batting third or fourth cleanup, and he started like his swing. He started getting worse in his batting. He started missing more. And that coach would move like professionals, move you up and down the lineup, and we started getting clinics and doing all this stuff because they're like, I don't know where her swing went, and it just went away. And it's sad to know that it was a coach that was basically hurting you, and hurting your desire for the game. Because we did the Gordon's Brothers clinic off 95th and Row, and he was like coaching him, and he's like, dude, your son has a natural swing, man. Like he's got it. Like, I don't know why he's struggling because he's just hitting it. But you get in the game, that's when he, get in his head. Yeah. And I understand, like when I went and got my hitting slump, man, it does, man. You get in a slump and you get in your head and you start doubting yourself. Why am I even playing this? What am I doing this for? Do I even like it anymore? And I didn't have, support to say, dude, it happens, man. You get in a slump, it's fine. You got to do what you got to do. Just got to get out there and figure out what's going on. And so that's kind of my biggest regret when it comes to that, is because if I knew that, and he was scared to tell me because it was, his mom's work team, like a friend of work, it was the thing. And, they were letting him be on the team, not because it was like a Catholic church kind of team, basically.
Oh, gotcha.
They were kind of letting him be on the team. I mean, he earned his spot, but it's just one of those things where I think he was, I don't know. I shouldn't tell you how you feel. I mean, were you scared to tell us that he was doing that? Or, or you just think that was normal for coaches?
I mean, like the way he would do it, I mean, he would play it like it was normal. He'd be like, oh man, you just missed a vacation. You missed practice because of vacation. So we're going to put you down in the lineup, which like makes sense in like the grand scheme of things. But I was like one of the better players, and I was hitting 12th, which is like farther than 9th. Like, there's no way that.
Yeah, you'd only get like one, maybe two at bats, and I'm like, what is going on? And I asked the coach, I'm like, hey, what's going on? Like, he's like, your kid's not hitting, so I'm not putting it out there. And that was the main coach.
Yeah,
you know, and I'm like, okay. So then I'd feel pressured to help him. And really the whole time was this fucking third base coach that was just a piece of shit and just being rude to my kid. And I've seen that. Like I had a good friend of mine that her son was a catcher and he was playing in high school teams. Like he was 7th grade and he had like senior teams saying, hey, can you fill in for our guy? Because he would direct traffic. He'd tell people move. He's like, hey, this batter. I mean, he knew baseball. He was so fucking good.
Yeah.
And he was one of the few kids that for age 12 is like throwing his mask up to catch the ball where other kids leave their mask on. They're doing this. I mean, he looked like a professional. And he quit because he had a coach that was so pissed that he outperformed his son. That he would talk shit on him and just be so mean to him. And his mom went working, you know, couldn't be there as much. Right. And man, when she found out, she was pissed.
Oh, I bet. But that's the thing is like when it gets to, because a lot of times as parents, it's like we are surprised when they want to quit because our kids don't feel safe or comfortable or they feel awkward talking to us because they don't want to disappoint us or whatever the case might be. Or because it's an adult coach and there's this power dynamic where we're not supposed to trash talk adults, we don't say anything, right? So as parents, being able to, you know, to ask those questions, to sit down and just say, okay, what is going on? You know, I'm not saying that you can't quit, but before you make that decision, let's talk about this. Are you unhappy? Do you not like the sport? You know, are you frustrated? What makes you want to stop? Because sometimes that feeling is a temporary feeling and it's part of that growth of like overcoming the challenge, right? And it might be that you just take a break for a while. It's like, I want to sit out a season. And then sitting out that season, it's like they miss it and they want to get back into it, right? But those are the kind of discussions that, you know, as a parent, we really need to have with the kid to find out, is it appropriate for them to quit or is it something that really that they need to overcome the challenge? And that's one thing I wish I had done with my son is we did talk about it somewhat, but I defaulted to just allowing him to quit. Not like I was allowing him to quit, but like instead of encouraging him or pushing him to overcome that challenge of like, look, you know, this is the hard part. These are the practices in the summertime. You do these so that you can do well in the games. And once you're in a game and you're competing against another school and you win and all these, you get a really great tackle. That's when it feels great. Yeah. Now is when you suffer because it sucks, but you get through it. It's like in the military. Training sucks. You know, going through basic, you know, there are a lot of people that they really struggle mentally when they're in basic or boot camp because what they do is they break you down so they can find where your base level is, and then they build you up in the mindset that you need for the military, which can be a little fucked up. But but that idea of like, you're taking this group of people from all different socioeconomic backgrounds, from all different religious backgrounds, from all different ethnic backgrounds, and you've got to get them to work together cohesively, as I learned to talk, as a team to accomplish a mission in the face of deadly challenge potentially.
Yeah.
And it's hard. And to get to that point, you have to break down the individual. And sometimes that's what sports does. It's one of the benefits of sports is you have to, for it to succeed, you have to be a team. You're not better than another person. You might be great in your position, but your position is just one of many. There's a specific role for that position that, you know, if you're not playing your role because you're trying to be the best, then you're actually taking the team down.
Yeah, and I think you have to understand the perseverance that it takes to get through the hard times. I know Kira's on a volleyball team where, I mean, she was like the best digger. Like she could dig the ball. She's great setup. I mean, she's shorter, so she couldn't spike. And she was actually invited to try out for the Kansas City team. And the coach came to me and goes, if your daughter was 2 inches taller, I'd take her in a heartbeat. It's like, so unless she can get her ups, like learn to get more height and practice and try out next year, totally do it. And it was kind of cool because I took her downtown and all that stuff. And we were driving home and she's like, yeah, I totally didn't make the team. Yeah. I'm like, well, why'd you say that? And she's like, I just could tell. I they served way better. They did this more better. I go, well, let me tell you what he told me. And she's like, really? I go, yeah. I go, he saw your attitude. He saw how much you were trying.
Yeah.
You were actually talking up the other girls. Like, oh man, good serve, and coaches value that.
Yeah.
And then literally Quinn had the same experience with the basketball team and their team last year, you have the Nagy boys and a couple other people. They were just so good and they had fun. I remember this shot. Quinn comes in because they would always have him in like for sure the last 3 minutes for defense kind of thing. And they had the two squads and it was so funny because you'd have the main squad and they would kind of keep it even in this game. But then they put the Quinn in his squad and they would score points. And then that squad would come in and then kind of catch up and all this stuff. Anyway, it gets back to the very last minute and it was like this double boink. Quinn gets it, scores a shot to tie it to go into overtime. And they're just like, you would have thought they just won the championship. Man. They're just like, oh my God. And everyone's like, yeah, chew, and the energy that carried into the next one, they went and won the game. And it's just, they had so much fun on that team compared to this year where I feel like Blue Valley has a stupid rule where they can let people transfer and they automatically get a play if they transferred, kind of bullshit. And the energy was just flat.
Yeah, it defeats the kids who are working hard that don't transfer.
None of the kids looked like they were having fun.
Yeah.
And I heard through a rumorville that Quinn's probably going to quit. And I think he was scared to tell me maybe. I don't know.
I don't remember.
And so I was like, so I heard you're going to step away from basketball. And he's like, yeah, it's not fun anymore. Because I don't have fun.
Yeah.
And he goes, I will have more fun playing rec. I'm like, okay.
Well, and that's the thing is like, ultimately, it's about having fun.
Yeah.
It's a game. It's a sport, and the dream of like some little league kid who thinks they're going to become a professional baseball player or a professional basketball player or a professional football player, the percentage chance of that is so low.
It's like, what, 2%?
If even that, even to get scholarships in football in college is hard.
Yeah.
So the underlying, most important part of it is the kid having fun or not.
Yeah.
That's what matters more than anything. And then, if they have the drive to succeed and get better and better and better, great. Encourage it, push it, that kind of stuff. But, another thing is like, just because it's a sport we loved doesn't mean that they're going to love it. Sometimes kids play sports because they want to make their dad happy or their mom happy.
Yeah.
And they really don't enjoy it.
Well, and it's kind of funny because like when he played soccer, like we said, we started at 3 and he's just a tall kid for his age, man. Like people thought him and his sister were twins because he was the same size as her. And he just dominated these kids because of his size.
Yeah.
Well, the coach is like, quit hogging the ball, quit getting the ball, quit this. So then he had this like weird, you'd go get the ball, get it, and then just stop.
Yeah.
Because that's what they told him to do, kind of thing. And so as he got older, Blue Valley is weird. It's like you're kind of just thrown on random teams. And so he kept getting put on all these different teams for soccer, so he could never get like that cohesive flow.
Yeah.
And eventually he got one where he's on the same team for like 3 years. But that's where he got to be like faster and he'd get the ball and he'd be gone and there's no one around him. And he's like, what the hell? And then he'd miss a shot or whatever,
right?
Kind of thing. Cause it's like the pressure. And I remember when he's like, yeah, I don't want to play soccer anymore. And I go, why? He goes, cause no one helps. I hate being by myself. And I'm like, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Like every time he stepped away from a sport, he always, it was never because, at least he told me, like, it was never, he told me it was because it was hard, or it's just like no fun anymore. That's why the baseball one would just kind of surprise me at the time. Like I saw him struggling and we were trying everything we could to kind of help him get back.
Yeah.
But honestly, his great answer was, I just want to focus on basketball. Doing 2 is a lot.
Which is true.
And as a dad, I'm like, okay, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
And I never pushed it again. Never hopefully never made you feel bad about stepping away. Because, thing is, you can play softball your whole life. You can still play with the sorority.
There are rec baseball leagues, rec basketball leagues, and stuff like that.
So it's like you're not totally stepping away from it. Yeah, okay, you're not going to go pro or anything, but hey, you can still do it. Like when he stepped away from basketball, you mentioned that they're probably going to do rec with all the guys that he plays with, that he has fun with.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck yeah. You're still athletic. You're still having fun.
Yeah.
Go do it.
Yeah.
And
because it's fun.
So what made you transition from basketball to volleyball?
I kind of, at first I just like,
because volleyball girls are hot.
No.
He's like, no.
At first they're like really similar. You're both like jumping and you're doing all this athletic stuff. But at the same time, seeing my sister play earlier probably helped. And then also like playing sand volleyball, it's very easy to play. And I play in PE and stuff. And it seems something I'd be good at since I'm like already athletic. And I genuinely have so much fun. It's literally just go out there, enjoy yourself. There's no stakes behind it. I have such great friends that I play with, and it's like you will see like a totally different person when I'm out there, and I'm like so happy. It's amazing.
That's great.
Yeah, it was one of those things where I didn't get to go to really any games last year because it was kind of last minute and so I kind of felt bad, but I'm like, well, as long as you're having fun, man, who cares? Yeah. That's what the whole point is. And then this year I was able to plan more to go to more games, and it's just the fun he was having on the volleyball team was what he was having a year ago on the basketball team. And it's just the joy of it. And, they went to state and, they got destroyed by one team. But it's like all of them were smiling coming off, and they're like, hey, it's like, man, that was fun. Cool. I'm so glad we made it here, kind of thing. And they're high fiving, and just like, in one of his other players, like he had a back injury and couldn't play. And so it was just so awesome to see him back out there playing again and being with Quinn, because they're pretty good friends. And just the energy that they have is just awesome. And it's just, that's what you want for your kids. And if you're not supporting them in a way that makes them feel loved and appreciated, and because it's all about them and not you, and it's like the parents that project, I guess, is the takeaway.
Yeah, I was gonna say, the final thought kind of thing, right?
The parents that project their life onto their kid, and it's like the ones that, oh, I'm a doctor, so you have to be a doctor, or, I'm this, so you have to be this. That's not encouraging your kid to be who they are, the way they want to be. There's a difference between supporting something completely asinine, like pretending they're a cat, but and so I'm just happy as a dad to see you happy and enjoying what you want to do, because that's what it's about. Like, life's too short to be miserable. Life's too short to hate your life, hate what you do, hate going to this stuff. You tried football.
Oh yeah,
for about a week and a half. So why did you quit that one?
Not for me.
Well, so I mean, as far as the takeaway, Quinn, what is, like, if you wanted to, as from a teenage perspective, having played sports, being supported by your dad, what is something that you would want parents to know, like an overall theme of what you'd want them to know to help encourage their kids rather than pressure their kids?
Just always be lenient about it, and like learn to realize when stuff is hard and when stuff is like serious. Like if some kid is just like, they had a bad game but they're still really good, make sure you like keep feeding them positive energy and like channel bad times to make it good, versus like if they're not having fun, like that's when you call it. But finish the season out at least, because at work you're not going to go halfway through a job and just finish there. You'd finish it. So teaching them that lesson too. But that's basically all I've got. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And, supporting without pressure, encouraging the commitment. So as a therapist, it's really like, it's an opportunity for kids to really learn how to overcome challenge, work with a team, communicate better, that kind of stuff. And so these are life lessons. It's not a funnel to college or professional sports. These are life lesson opportunities, and that's really, I think, what the focus should be as parents. How is your child learning through the experience? Are they enjoying the experience? Are they growing because of the experience? Everything else, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, you guys made it to a lot of tournaments and all that stuff, and it's cool when you see the disappointment, and I think the one, and I don't mean it like that, but like it's cool to see your kids handle the disappointment like an adult.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. It's like, I know they had a baseball tournament where they were doing so good and then they lost, and all the kids were just hanging their head down, and it was awesome because it's like, guys, don't hang your head down, man. You made it here. You had fun. And then the coach is like, seriously, you guys did awesome. Like, we shouldn't be here. It's like, we have no right to be here, and we earned it, and it's okay that we lost.
Yeah.
And it's like, do you guys have fun? And then they're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, that's what matters.
Yeah.
And it was so cool hearing that from the coach, and I think the coaches were always good about that in the basketball. And so, the coach can make or break. So if you're a parent and you're a coach, just remember that, because you are an authoritative figure. You're a role model for those kids, and your behavior projects, kind of that stuff. So,
right on.
Well, I appreciate you coming.
Yeah, thanks, Quinn.
Of course. Thanks for having me, guys.
Always enjoy
awesome.
Yeah.
It's good to know I didn't suck completely.
All right, thanks for joining us. Hopefully you enjoyed the episode. Hopefully this has been kind of educational and, helps to, help guide us as parents through our failures and successes.
Yeah. Stay classy, Kansas City.